Just trust me, I plan on getting music out there, man. I want to be an artist, okay? I do. I want to be a musician. I would. It's my dream to probably like chart on Billboard or something. Like I know that's like a lofty goal, but guys, I don't believe the bullshit that I used to believe when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? This isn't for those people. This is for you. This is for everybody that has any creative talent. This is your right. What's going on, guys? My name is Jordan. Welcome to my channel, Rock is Good For You, where I'm trying to produce a rock album with limited in-home equipment and experience. Not because this is some kind of experiment, but mainly because I'm broke. But since I'm basically trying to become an audio engineer in order to mix and master my own music, I've decided that this entire video is going to be ASMR. Okay, just kidding. I won't do that to you for real. But you should subscribe if you want to see more videos of me shoving Raisin Bran into my face and drinking coffee obnoxiously. Alright guys, let's see what we got here. I've been working on this. My song Maybe Then. Let's see, we've got an E-kit connected to Addictive Drums 2, which I'm using as the drum sounds for my electronic drum set, the Roland V-Drums TD07. Got some EQ going here on these various channels, some reverb. I've got 4 sends set up over here, and basically whatever you have tracked here can be sent to these tracks to add on reverb, delay, chorus, flanger, whatever, you know, that you may be applying as like a as an effect. And basically when you do that, when you send an instrument on one of your tracks to a delay or reverb send, it allows you to kind of adjust, you know what I'm saying, the amount of effect that you add to that track. I never understood this concept before. You know, I'm very amateur at this, but I feel like I'm learning a lot. I'm getting better at EQ for sure. And my technique so far that helps me a lot is I literally just when I'm tweaking the parameters of the EQ, the frequency and whatnot. Let's see. Let me pull one up. Like here, for instance. Okay, here's one. Here's an EQ curve on my Rhythm Center 2 guitar track. Let's see which one is that. That'd be here. So if I play that, right? Okay. So here I've got a high pass filter. I'm cutting out the low end and just a tiny tad bit of the high end. And my next EQ curve on top of that is basically I'm cutting out a little bit of mid frequency and boosting the high mids just a little bit, because you don't want to take away too much mids, especially not high mids or treble, you know, from guitar. But sometimes it's necessary if you've got too much ringing and resonance up here. So it makes a big difference. It's basically how you get all of your elements in your song, on your playlist, to kind of play well together. You know, you cut out all the frequencies that are harsh, that don't sound good in the mix, to give sort of space and headroom for the other instruments to stand out. Because what happens is a lot of times you'll have a lot of instruments that kind of resonate in the same frequency because of how they were recorded or the type of instrument, or you might have many of the same type of guitar tracks recorded layering over each other, and they all have like areas where the frequency of the sound is kind of causing something echoey or hollow or harsh or muddy or ringy or something, and you kind of got to go through here and find out where that is, and just sort of cut into it, to give it some clarity. And one thing that kind of blows my mind is what I realized lately is that creating an album and instruments to sound a certain way in a digital environment like an audio workstation, is basically a matter of kind of lying to people. It's manipulating the sound to sound as if they were hearing it live. Because when you hear things live, your ears don't actually pick up all the frequencies of sound, but microphones do. They're very complex, they're very high tech in what they do. So EQing and mixing and mastering is basically about crafting the sound and whittling away at it and shaping it to become what people would like to hear it to be, not what it actually is. And so through EQ, you can cut out all these harsh frequencies to make it sound like you would want it to sound to somebody, because we don't want all that resonance. We don't want all the echoey, the reverb. You know what I'm saying? We can apply that to taste later. But we want the sounds to be kind of clean and separated and palatable, to the ears. It's shaping sound. It's like sculpting. It's like an art form for audio. You know what I mean? It's kind of wild when you think about it. And I think because of that aspect of it, I'm kind of intrigued by it. I think I'm on the right track, though. I know this shit takes years to get like really good at it, but I mean, I don't think that what I'm doing requires that much experience in mixing. This is basic stuff. You know what I'm saying? I got my levels right here, and then I did my panning and just kind of tried to figure out where they sound good from left to right. I got some stereo separation going here on some of these tracks, basically to widen out the sound and give them some separation. And I'm basically dealing with like rhythm guitars, bass, a drum set that's already EQ'd and has compression and has been professionally recorded, and basically it's samples and loops. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, this drum set sounds amazing already. And when I play the E-kit over here, it sounds like this drum set. And that's amazing. And I'm not like, I don't feel like this is cheating or anything, because I'm a drummer. I've been playing for a long ass time. I've played many a drum set like this, and it would sound like this if I were playing on a real drum set. You know what I'm saying? But I don't have the time or the space or the ability, the effort, the energy, the money, and nothing to set up an actual like drum set studio in here. I can't afford that. I can't do that in my space. And that's honestly the great thing about modern music, is that you can use things at your disposal that are much more accessible and are easy to use and to set up and sound great in home, that you can bypass this whole home analog or studio analog recording thing that is such a barrier to entry for so many musicians that aspire to make albums, to put their music out there. Like, how many people have like tons of creative talent that you'll never hear because they don't know how to go through it. They think everything has to be done through a record label. Somebody has to like, take them to a studio and have them produced professionally and sign deals and contracts with all these people and promoters and audio engineers and I get that, like, a lot of the times when you're an artist or a musician, you don't know about those things. You don't care. You just want to get your music out there, but there is such a high bar to entry for that kind of thing. Nobody's going to take interest in you and let you record in their studio unless they think you can sell albums, and you have to build that rapport and that fan base for years. And things are changing. Nowadays it's about social media presence, it's about entertainment, it's about having a gimmick, it's about having promotional force behind you that acts as like the driver, the impetus for your music. It's not just about the music anymore, because like, at the same, as much as it's awesome that anybody can like make an album nowadays with limited funds and just in home and using DI tracks and electronic kits and dynamic microphones from China or whatever, it's oversaturating the landscape and allowing a lot of people who probably aren't that creatively talented or interesting to be in the music landscape. And I just hope I'm not one of them. Like, I've been doing this for a long time. I haven't been doing anything music related on a professional level by any means, but I think in some ways my professionalism in music, like as far as my experience and how I go about it and what I'm capable of doing, does match some of the pros in the industry. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, "Oh, I can't do any of this. I'm terrible, and I'm just gonna make it happen overnight." No, it's still a struggle. I'm still not awesome, at everything. But as far as trying to wear all the hats and like write and record and play and produce my music, with the exception of a Fiverr guitarist or a session guitarist, playing guitar and bass for me, which are parts that I write and they just play them. Though they do add their creative flair. Honestly, like when I had Josh Williams from Fiverr.com, he's a great guitarist from South Africa, play my parts from Maybe Then that I sent him. He can do anything from like rock and metal to like folk and country and ballady stuff and whatever. I mean, but I'm pretty much ranting at this point. But regardless, if you need somebody to supply you with instrumentation or vocals or whatever the part is that you're missing for your band, right? Then you can hit up someone like Josh Williams on Fiverr, man. Check them out for real, because they can really give you that edge as far as like you have so many things you're good at and you know what it is your goal is, but you're missing the ability to play that one instrument or to have that band member. You know what I mean? My thing is, if I get the music where I want it to be and I have the album that I want, then I can say, hey, I need some musicians. Can we play this? Can we perform this if need be? If there's like a demand to take this music to venues or something, or people want to see it played live, then it's like, okay, now all I have to do is just like go on Facebook, you know what I'm saying? Musician forum, Guitar Center, wherever, just like hit people up, be like, hey, do you like this music? Check out this website. I have this whole album. Can you play that? Are you interested? And if so, then let's meet up and play it, Like, that's not the hard part to me. That's the problem that I have with music, is that everybody makes the easy part so difficult. It's like, the hard part is like repetition and skill and getting your music down and getting the part down and recording it over and over and over again and perfecting it, polishing it, mixing it, mastering it, blah, 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 blah. That's the hard part. But everybody gets it wrong. Everybody's like, oh, we need to just show up and keep jamming with no direction. It's like, let's create the music. Let's write the shit. Let's record it. Let's produce it. You know what I mean? And then, like, if we're missing certain band members or whatever, like, or we need, like, people to play out places, we'll get them on using our music. The music is the bait to get the musicians. You know what I mean? How many times have we seen it in the music industry where bands have established themselves, or they're popular, and they lose a member, someone drops out, and then all of this, like now they have like all this professional talent at their disposal. You know what I mean? Great music attracts great artists and people who want to play it, and I know that there's a way to achieve that with a band, but I personally would like the creative sort of inspiration for the music I'm writing to be unanimously from me. And I don't, and obviously, like, I'm okay with people who add instrumentation, like a session guitarist, putting their own flair, creative sort of thing on it. You know what I'm saying? But as far as like the core music, the writing, the inspiration, the attitude, the soul of the music, I don't want to have to share that with somebody. And that sounds selfish, but I think I've earned the right to that opinion because I've played with a lot of people and tried to cooperate and tried to collaborate, and it just didn't turn out. It didn't work right. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this myself. I'll write the music. I learned at some point I've got somewhat of a penchant for music composure. I can actually write bass, guitar, drums, vocals, all that. I just can't play some of it. I know that sounds weird. You're like, how? Well, because I think when I hear music, I hear the whole. I understand how things converge, how they come together. I understand how the pieces fit. I can't explain to you how or why. I just do. I don't know if it's just something that you just have innately, or or if that's something you pick up on at some point without realizing that you do. But I'm not saying that I can write really awesome sounding guitar parts and stuff. I know how to serve the song. I know how to write a song and compile these different parts to make that song. But yeah, could I like write a solo or something on guitar? No, it's absolutely not. I don't know the first thing about guitar or keys. I would love to learn how to play piano, but I don't. I don't have a lot of music theory training. It's more percussive. It's more rhythm, beat, stuff like that. That's where my sort of classical kind of training comes into play. Is rhythm, percussion, drum set, things like that. And even then, I'm no savant or anything. I just have a basic understanding of notes and rhythms, and I couldn't even sight read a drum part, not really. Like, there's no use for that. Like, I had to back in high school when I was in band and stuff, but sheet music only comes in handy when you're trying to recite intricate pieces, So, okay, I've got this other part. This is what I'm calling rhythm C3, that's center 3. And you can see how these things are layered here. See, that fits together really cool. That was Josh's thing, you know what I'm saying? He just writes these parts and then fits them together like a puzzle, I'm so stupid, man. Okay. And then you start putting in the other pieces. That just sounds so cool to me, man. It's like, it just sounds empowering and airy and almost like indignant and kind of emotional. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. It just has a cool vibe to it. Let's add the left and right guitar in there. That driving sort of crunchy in-your-face guitar. Yeah. When I hear something like this, it just makes me want to play drums immediately. I'm just like, man, that needs drums so bad. And then let's add bass. Has that good low bottom end to it, that heaviness. Alright, and then here's the drums. Yes, sir. I like this part right here. Actually caught the cue there that time. But man, you got to check this out though. Look at this cool element I added in right here in the pre-chorus. I feel like it needs something a little bit more modern. It needs something to give it some kind of contemporary flair. A lot of bands are using a lot of synthesizers and digital elements in their music. Keys and sort of airy counter melodies and sort of almost like that kind of techno sound. I don't want to say techno. It's like these digital harps and saws, and I don't know. It adds like an extra layer to the music that makes it sound a bit more modern. But check this out. Right? It's pretty cool, huh? So I've got an automation here on the rhythm guitar, the center, and it cuts out to give space to this synthesizer to play here. So here's what's playing here. So when it gets right here, it just kind of cuts out to give room to the synthesizer. So oh yeah, that's right. I have this link to ascend, giving it delay, and that's where a lot of its volume comes from as well. So listen to that again. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Right? Especially with the bass, that sounds really good. Okay, let's check this out. It really needs that left and right panned guitar, that rhythm left and right, to prop up that. Check it out. Hold on. Here we go. See, check it out. I think that's really cool. It sounds good, man. It sounds modern. And even though, honestly, it kind of reminds me of that Filter song. You know what I mean? It's Gonna Kill Me. It does remind me of that, honestly. And that's an older song. But, like, it's still cool, though. See, I'm at the phase where I've got such a decent mix on this that I can start like playing with it and adding things in and kind of seeing what I can experiment with and come up with. The only thing I'm worried about is vocals. Like I'm not confident in my ability as a vocalist. I think I can do it, but I'm not really familiar with all the ins and outs of vocal techniques to be able to layer and harmonize and give it the flair it needs in the moment. I'm gonna have to kind of figure it out as I go, much like everything else I'm doing. Good God. I'm telling you right now, it'll be a miracle if you guys see me release this album in a state that I'm happy with in any time in the near future. I'm taking so long on this song, but here's the thing. Once I get past this song, everything will go easier and smoother from here on out, because I will just apply everything I've learned with this song to mix and master and produce the next songs the same way, I'll be getting similar guitar parts, similar drums, similar bass, similar vocals. It won't be samey. The music won't sound the same, but like I'm saying, the process, like sonically, the music's going to be so similar from song to song because it's all going on the same album or EP or whatever you want to call it, that it'll be easy to just apply what I've learned here and set up templates, to just transfer the files of the next song into this. And I think it'll go a lot faster and a lot smoother that way.